And now, from Candlestick Point in San Francisco, California, it's the Stick 49er Podcast Show with your hosts, Lucas McLaughlin and Lucas Ortiz.
Please like and subscribe. Now a quick message to the city of Santa Clara on behalf of the 49ers.
We followed strict protocols. One more bad loss could end it all. They knew we were on the road and suddenly changed the rules, and now we can't come home. Santa Clara, can't you see? You've upset my team, forcing them to leave. Levi's locked us out. A team without a place. Arizona's lost and found. A team without a place. Targeted and pushed out. A slap in the face. No contact rule in place. Now we're a team without a place.
Oh, Niner fans. The Niners may not have a home to go to.
I don't think it's for sure now. No one can ever go home again. Never.
Or any place to go to after the game, but they sure pulled off an incredible nail-biting win versus the LA Rams, and they become just the first and only team this season to beat the Rams at home. I believe that's an accurate stat, and they didn't have some key players due to COVID, but they got some extremely key players back. Lucas Ortiz joins me now. So, Lucas, the 49ers pulled off what seemed to be unlikely, sweeping the Rams in the last three outings. What do you think, man? How you feel?
Good, man. What's up, Lucas? How are you, buddy?
Man, it just feels so much better when they win, obviously.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. My emotions are just like the game, all over the place. You know, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, a lot of craziness and uncertainty, just like the game we just saw. So, you know what? It's awesome to get back into the win column. I think the theme this year for the team has been resiliency and just, you know, reacting to having to win games, you know, not giving up on the season and not throwing in the towel at all. Just, you know, backs up against the wall and showing how much toughness and, like I said, resiliency they have. And it was just a gigantic win, sweeping the Rams, taking it to Sean McVay. Again, I think that's 4 in a row. If you're keeping count, if you're keeping score at home. Sir. And yeah, that was just a hell of a win, buddy.
I mean, we're talking crazy turnovers, more ups and downs than Highway 4 here in the Bay Area. And, you know, you just want points after turnovers. And the Niners forced 4 turnovers, but they coughed up 3 of their own. And when you're dealing with your backup quarterback, who Mullins, you know, he did okay. He did better than the guy on the other side with Goff. I mean, when you look at it, and he didn't throw any touchdown passes, but he finishes with 253 yards. What'd you think, Lucas? That pick was batted up in the air. That could happen to anyone. He kept with it. What do you think?
Right. So Mullins struggled most of the game. He missed a lot of throws where guys were open. He didn't really seem to see the field as well as he should have. Even on some plays where he completed passes, you know, I went back and watched the game today, and he wasn't making the right reads. There was guys that were completely open with not a defender anywhere near them, especially out in the flat, where he wouldn't even look that direction, and he would throw into tight windows for short yardage passes. And it didn't seem like he was making the right reads on a lot of his dropbacks. Yeah. And luckily, he kind of put it together in the last quarter, got 2 huge field goal drives to tie and win the game, and we pulled it off. But really, I mean, the D brought it. The D won that game.
Oh, yeah. He's so lucky he's got Robert Saleh and an incredible defensive scheme on the other side.
He is. To
keep giving him those chances, man. I mean.
Yeah, they balled out. They made some big plays. The rookie Kinlaw had a huge interception. Givens was a wrecking ball. I mean, every time I would look at a play in the backfield made by the defense, it was Givens and Contavious Street and Kinlaw just wreaking havoc. Even Armstead had a really good game.
Yeah.
And there were even some instances where where Deion Jordan was pursuing the ball really well. He was in on a lot of tackles. I think he had a really solid game along with the rest of the D. They just put it together. That was a fantastic game plan by Robert Saleh, probably the next head coach of the Detroit Lions.
Exactly.
That's the team I've been hearing his name floated to take over, and he brought it. He seems to have Sean McVay's number and knows exactly what kind of defenses to call against his offense. So hands off to the defense. They really went it for us that game.
The one thing I can say about Nick Mullins in this game is that he didn't give up. Sometimes he kind of goes over like a 10-year-old on timeout because he did something bad, and then you can't get him back into the game. But this, he kept trying. You see him throwing on the sideline. He wants to get back in there. And he did give us just enough to get a win. And at this point in the season, with the ups and downs that we've had as far as injuries go, it's going to have to work for now. And hopefully he'll get better, and this will build some confidence.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope that this kind of boosts his confidence a little bit, and he can kind of carry that into this next game against the Bills. What I did like against him is he did make better decisions in the fourth quarter, which I like to see. So
for sure.
I got to give him a little credit, but overall it wasn't a great game. And I think most Niner fans are eager to get Jimmy G back and take us into the playoffs this year. I think if we can win one or two of the next games, and Jimmy comes back, I think we have a really good chance of getting into the playoffs this year.
And then if Kittle could come back, obviously,
oh my God,
the two of them would make a huge difference. I mean, already just getting these guys back this week with Debo, and he had a huge game, 11 catches for 134 yards, and he was all over the field. I love that shovel pass for 30 yards. It was beautiful. That's typical Debo play, and that was good to see, because those kind of plays, you can have a guy like Nick Mullins deliver the ball. We almost got the running game going. We'll get into that when we get down in the trenches. But it was great to see Debo back. And then obviously Mostert, he'll get his legs back under him and get even better. But that was great to have him back. Do you see those bursts of speed for that little touchdown play he had? And he had 16 carries for 43 yards. And then Jeff Wilson Jr. also, great to see him back, even though he coughed it up and Mostert had a bad fumble. That you just need those guys to get those reps back and get back to what they do best. And you could really see a huge difference in our team, not to mention, I know we already talked a little bit about the defense, but having Sherman back on the other side, I know they didn't get any points from that interception, but man, it's just like we had talked about, you and I, about it's like having a quarterback on your defense who's out there teaching and making plays, and he looked pretty darn good. What'd you think?
Yeah, he looked really good. I thought he played a very solid game. He had the interception, and it looked like the Niners were pretty intent on just keeping him at left cornerback, although he did play type of a safety position, I think, on one or two plays, which was kind of a little change up to what we normally play with our defense. So I like the fact that Saleh was kind of mixing it up and not being completely obvious with what he was trying to do. I mean, they definitely looked like they were confusing Jared Goff, and he didn't have a clue what was going on in that first half. I mean, we just completely shut down the Rams game. I thought it was going to be a very low scoring, 14-3, 17-3 game.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't look like the Rams could figure it out. They didn't look like they could really get their offense going. I don't even think they really did. It was more of us giving the ball away, and the fumble for a return really brought the game back into a closer game, along with the strip sack. So, their offense really had a piss poor game if you look at the way that they played. And I think the defense had a big factor in that.
There's certain things that they do have to make sure happen correctly, and that goes with time management, basic stuff like that. When you've got a 3rd and 2 and it becomes a 3rd and 7 because of a delay of game, that's not what you want to see, especially with Nick Mullins out there. But then Kyle Shanahan draws up the perfect play, and then he totally missed Jordan Reed over the middle. And that was disheartening, because at that point you could just visibly see how pissed off that made Reed. And he missed Reed a couple of times in this game.
Yeah.
He kept coming back and doing his best, and that's what we need. And it worked this time, and we just barely won. Robbie solid gold with that game-winning field goal. And then, of course, in the third quarter, the rookie, Javon Kinlaw, with that pick six. I want you to tell us what set up that play. Man, what a great thing to see. He just continues to get better and better, huh, Lucas?
Yeah, Kinlaw made a hell of a play. Like, if you go back and watch that play, he gets all the glory. He gets the interception. He gets the run back pick six. But the guy who really makes that play, if you go back and watch it, is Kevin Givens. He gets an unbelievable get off, knifes through the defense, reaches out and hits Jared Goff just as he's throwing the ball. And that's really what caused the errant throw. I think if there wasn't that hit on Goff, the ball doesn't get intercepted by Kinlaw.
Wow.
He definitely doesn't throw the ball when he does if he doesn't feel that pressure. So really, it's Kevin Givens that initiated that throw and the subsequent interception. So really got to give him, a lot of recognition for making that play. And he was just all over the place. He was in the backfield a lot. He was making all kinds of hits and tackles for loss. He's really taken that opportunity he's been given by DJ Jones being out with COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah,
making the most out of it. I think this is probably the game he's gotten the most amount of snaps, and he really took advantage of that.
Yeah.
Hey, there's that sound again.
Oh, just there it is. Another edition of Pat's Picks.
And now, from the bar in the big sky, yours truly here, Pat Summerall. I'm here to give you predictions every week here on the Lucas and Lucas The Stick podcast. Good afternoon. Pat Summerall here with John Madden. Oh, I'm sorry, with V646. Well, I don't know why, but I can't seem to get it right. I tried to increase my odds. I was 4-6 prior to the bye week with my picks. That's why I want you to do it. I'm buying the next round, V4. Oh, you will? That would be great. You know, the NFL has become so unpredictable. Well, yes. Apparently the flu bug vaccine is not working and it's running rampant. Well, it must be highly contagious because everybody's got masks on the sidelines. I've never seen anything like it. COVID-19, yes. Oh, yeah, that's the red zone play that Bill Walsh ran in Super Bowl 16, I believe. It was a misdirection COVID-19 sprint option. Roger Craig. Touchdown 49ers. What? Oh. Deadly virus. Well, that's terrible. Maybe that explains why the bar's been getting so crowded up here. I wasn't trying to make a bad joke. Maybe that explains why strange, unbelievable events have been occurring all season. What do you mean? For instance, well, unbelievable things like the Cleveland Browns have more than 8 wins and a chance at the playoffs. And that hasn't happened since maybe ever. Miami Dolphins have a decent team. That's strange. And the 49ers, who left Candlestick for a beautiful stadium in Santa Clara, have now been locked out of Levi's. That's the name of the stadium. Well, apparently they're going to Arizona, which I have no idea why. Apparently it's because of this Bill Walsh red zone COVID-19 sprint option virus. Oh, sorry, COVID-19 virus. Whatever. Let's get on with the picks. Well, of course I'll translate. Otherwise, nobody would understand. V3's first pick this week. The Eagles at Packers. V3 picks the Packers to win it. The Browns are at the Titans. He likes the Titans in this one. The Seahawks are at home versus the Giants. V4 says the Hawks will win big. Detroit at Chicago. The Lions fired their head coach recently. The team is in disarray. V4 says the Bears will blow them out. The Bengals are at Miami. Miami takes this one in a close game. The Colts are at the Texans. R5 likes the Colts by a field goal. The Jaguars at the Vikings. Minnesota wins that one. The Vegas Raiders are at the Jets. The Raiders will win this one in a close one.
The Saints at the Falcons. V4 says the Saints win this one by a field goal. The Rams at the Cardinals. The Rams defense dominates this game and bounces back to the big loss versus the Niners. The Patriots at the Chargers. LA will lose this one. The Patriots win by 3 touchdowns. The Broncos at the Chiefs. Now that one will be won by 3 touchdowns. I know I'm not supposed to make the picks. V4 says the Chiefs win big. And finally, the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers will be hosting Buffalo on Monday night in Arizona. The Niners will continue on a tear. The defense looked great. And Robert Saleh, the future head coach, will lead them to victory. The Niners win by a touchdown. Not at home. Well, thank you, V4. I hope you fare better than I did. Thank you, Lucas and Lucas. We appreciate being a part of the show. I'll make the picks next week. Thank you very much. What do you mean, why? That's why they call it Pat's Picks.
Thanks, Pat. Always fun.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Let's get back into this.
Let's do it.
And I feel for Mullins a little bit because late in the game, when the Rams started making their little comeback, the offensive line had an okay game. When we're trying to throw the ball downfield, it's pretty tough when you have someone like Aaron Donald he just really turned it on, and that got a little bit scary. I mean, that was right around when Mostert had his fumble. But why don't you break it down for us, Lucas?
Absolutely. So Donald took over this game. It looked like he was literally unstoppable at one point. I think in the third and fourth quarters, he just put his mind to destroying our offensive line, and he was just knifing through double teams. One-on-ones were obviously not going to have little effect on him, and he was wreaking havoc. He just seemed like every single play for about 2 series he was in on, and just causing fumbles, hitting the quarterback, causing errant throws, tackles for loss. I mean, the guy was just a beast. So he had kind of a not that great of a performance the first time these teams first played, and we were kind of making fun of him as Aaron Donald who, but this time he showed us who he was and why he's always MVP in the MVP talk. So he had an amazing game.
He definitely ate his Wheaties at halftime, but do you think he knows who Debo is now? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, he knows who Debo is. And, offensive line actually blocked him pretty well. I think Daniel Brunskill, every time he had to reach him on a play, on a reach block, he was able to do it. He handled Aaron Donald similar to what he did when he was playing guard and having to block him even more. And, he held his own. But we'll get into that more when I go inside the trenches. But I just wanted to say that Aaron Donald was a beast and easily could have won this game for the team. But the Niners showed their toughness and were able to pull it out right at the end.
That's what she said.
I might be wrong, but if you go back and listen to 2 weeks ago's podcast when I kind of gave a semi-prediction of the game, I think I kind of said that we'd win in the last second with the Robbie Gould field goal.
You sure did.
Don't quote me on that, but I think I may have mentioned something to that extent.
It was either that game or the previous game, but I do remember you saying those exact words, and that's the only reason why I used that nickname for Robbie Gould today, because I remember you saying it. So
I think every game I predict Robbie Gould's gonna win it in the last second field goal. So if you just stay consistent, eventually you'll be right.
Well, as we talked about, the running game, it looked okay at times. They started on the right foot, especially the second drive. Got tough because you could tell the Rams made some serious adjustments at halftime. But let's get down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz.
Down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz. Down in the trenches.
All right, Lucas, break it down for us, man.
All right, man. So let's start with the tackles. I think Trent Williams, we're a little worried that he wasn't even going to play in this game. He put him on the COVID list, and I think he came off of it. I believe it was Saturday. So the Niners were practicing all week, not even knowing if they were going to have their best offensive lineman playing on Sunday. And luckily they were able to get him back along with some other players. And he had an outstanding game. I think the only blemish was a holding call on a play that was actually negated. They wound up not counting the holding call because the play counted.
Oh yeah.
Or they declined the penalty. So other than that, I mean, he was doing his usual pancake blocking, stuffing pass rushers and doing his thing. A lot of times him and Laken Tomlinson seemed to get good double teams on whoever the defensive tackle was in between them. Sometimes it was even Aaron Donald. I mean, there was a couple plays where I saw Aaron Donald get pushed back a couple times on double teams, and usually it was Laken Tomlinson and Trent Williams that were in on that. On the other side, McGlinchey had a really good game, but there were a couple plays in particular where he got beat really bad, and in your mind, you're thinking he had a poor game, but in actuality, he played pretty well. He had a solid, he had a solid game. I thought he pass blocked pretty well. I thought he run blocked extremely well. Had some pancake blocks and was really good at getting out in the open and opening up holes and lanes for Mostert and Jeff Wilson on a lot of those toss sweeps. So I think that's kind of where we excelled. And you saw in the beginning of the game, first and second quarter, a lot of those big run plays for 10 to 15 yards were on those little toss sweep plays. I really like those.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they seem to not work as well in the second half. Looked like the Rams kind of did their homework and made some adjustments, and we're starting to overload the side that they thought we would, run to. So, those weren't quite as effective in the second half, but in the first half, it looked like every time they gave it to Mostert or Wilson on those toss sweeps, they were getting, 10 yards a pop, and it was really effective. So the O-line had a really good game altogether. They were, for the most part, in sync. They seemed to pick up blitzes much better than they did the last couple of weeks. And I really like to see the young kid at right guard, Cole McKivitz, starting to kind of feel out his way and get a grasp of playing that position. Got to remember, the guy was a tackle in college, so the right guard position is fairly new to him, and I think he's kind of picking it up, getting a little better week after week. And guys like Brunskill getting a little more comfortable playing the center position. I think it was probably his best game as a center so far. I mentioned earlier he was really adept at getting those reach blocks on the defensive tackles, on those toss sweeps and outside run plays. So got to give it to them. I give them if I had to grade them, I would say probably a B+, solid, but not, the best game of their lives, but really good enough to get about 100 yards on the ground, which they did.
Nice. Hopefully we'll continue to run the ball well, especially with Mostert now in the lineup and Wilson, and we'll get back down in the trenches next week.
Down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz. Down in the trenches.
So the elephant in the room is that, and I don't know if this is...
Where do we play? Where do we practice?
I mean, how come it looks so targeted, man? Because if you think about it, these new regulations put on by Santa Clara, you can't travel over 150 miles and then come back. And then you have to, if you do, you have to quarantine for 14 days. If you look at this as a whole, they're not able to enforce that. But when it comes to the Niners, they could, because they know the Niners are coming back from LA. They play football. They're going to go practice and all this. So they basically squeezed the Niners out of Santa Clara. And, it seems almost targeted. I know we got to take precautions and COVID is the real deal, but, it's really upsetting. And I'm sure that the families and everybody's extremely emotional after a very emotional win. But, where do we play now? What are we going to do? Are we going to go to Arizona? Oakland Coliseum? What's going to happen, Lucas?
Nobody knows, man. It's pretty crazy because the players actually learned before they played the game that they were going to be shut out of their practicing or playing in Santa Clara. I guess the announcement was that there are no contact sports allowed in the whole county, and that means that the team is going to have to look at options like maybe practicing at the old Napa Marriott where the Raiders used to have their training camp.
Yeah.
Possibly going to Arizona and using their facilities. I know that the Cardinals and the 49ers don't share any home dates together, so they could easily play games there. when the Cardinals aren't. And I don't see them going to LA just because there's 2 teams there now using the stadium, although there is the stadium in Carson that they could use if need be. And the other possibility is Texas.
That's right.
There's a lot of stadiums in Texas, as you know. So I don't know, they could possibly use one of the sports complexes in the Arlington, Dallas area and practice there. So it's up in the air right now.
To me, the most upsetting thing about all of this is that there's been a lot of restrictions in Santa Clara. The Niners follow to a T. They put the masks on when they need to. They have protocols in place, and they had an understanding with Santa Clara that because of those strict protocols that they'd be able to continue doing what they do. And while they're on a road trip, just suddenly get thrown this crazy rule that basically says don't come home. I mean, they got to keep playing, obviously. So it's just a little upsetting to know that, if they had this understanding, then why didn't that continue,
Yeah, and just think about this. All these guys have families, right? For the most part. They're probably going to have to be away from their families for the entire month of December. So when most people are traveling to be with their families and celebrate the holidays with their families, whatever holiday you celebrate, guys are going to be probably apart from their wives, their children, their friends for at least a month, which is insane. Like, this couldn't have come at a worse time. We're in the playoff hunt. We're kind of coming to the last part of the season, and the holidays is usually kind of a time of joy and happiness, but it just seems like it couldn't be anywhere but the opposite right now. So
yeah, man, it's so upsetting. If I'm upset, I can't imagine how they feel not being able to see their families. But on a happier note, there were plenty of these to choose from this week. Let's get to the next segment, the Ortiz Overachievers. Overachievers. So who's it going to be, man? I know that it's tough this week. We got quite a few players, but as you said before, you don't want to choose a guy that's supposed to be great every time. So what do you got?
Right. So anybody that's a first to third rounder is right off the bat disqualified. So Javon Kinlaw had a hell of a play, probably had one of the better games of his career, and he's disqualified from being an overachiever. Richard Sherman, technically he would qualify as an overachiever, but that guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. So I'm going to disqualify him on just the fact that he's had such a long career, and I think he's got an MVP under his belts and, a lot of notoriety already. I'm going to disqualify him. Kerry Hyder has won overachiever, I think, twice so far this year. So I'm going to disqualify him just on that. This week's overachiever is going to be Kevin Givens.
Nice.
We talked about him a little earlier. He had an incredible game. His get off is one of the best on the team. I mean, every time I watch that guy get off on the ball, it seems like he's already in the chest of the offensive lineman that he's going up against before anybody else. And he's got some nice moves. He's got a little twitch to his game. There was this one play in particular where it looked like he got by the defender. The defender started to push him kind of past the quarterback, and he was able to stop his momentum on a dime and get to the quarterback. And that was the one where he caused the interception by Kinlaw. That's not a play a lot of defensive linemen can make, to be able to run full speed, get pushed in the back, stop on a dime, and make a split second, almost like a L cut into the quarterback and cause him to throw the ball errantly. So that play was incredible. There was a ton of other plays where he was just wreaking havoc, getting to the backfield, making tackles. I really like to pull for guys like that who were late draft picks or undrafted, as I think he was.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure if he was a draft pick or if he was undrafted, but definitely not a guy coming out of college with a lot of notoriety and, just played well above his pay grade. So he is my overachiever.
He definitely fits the mold.
Exactly, fits the mold. If you play above your pay grade, you are overachiever for sure. So got to give it to him. Hell of a game. Great job, Kevin Givens.
Nice. Well, congrats to Kevin Givens. Keep it going, and hopefully we can climb into the playoffs here, and we'll see who the overachiever is next week.
Overachievers are really like overeaters. They don't know when to stop.
Overachiever. On a Monday night game at home, but now obviously who knows where they're going to play that one.
Yeah.
December 7th against Buffalo. But what are the keys to the game, and give us your final score?
Well, the first key to the game is take away what the Bills do best. And right now it's throw the ball with Josh Allen and take away his two outstanding receivers in John Brown and Stephon Diggs. Diggs is having a Pro Bowl caliber season, and I think John Brown's having a pretty successful year as well. Those guys are really fast. Those guys are very talented, and you got to take those guys away. And the best way to do it is match up your best players against them. And that for us is Jason Verrett and Richard Sherman. Sprinkle in some Emmanuel Mosley in the slot position, which I really liked.
Yeah.
I was kind of glad to see him get a lot of snaps this game.
Too bad about Taylor, but yeah, definitely good to see Mosley step in, huh?
Right. And you got to make Josh Allen make bad decisions. And the easiest way to do that is to take away his first read, make him throw a little faster than he wants to, and kind of hurry the game and get him off his spot, so to speak. Push him out of the pocket. But you got to be careful at the same time. He can beat you with his legs. He's a very agile quarterback. He's got a lot of length. He's got a lot of speed, and he can easily rip off a 50-yard run if you allow him to. So I think the Niners would do best to have a spy, Marcel Harris, Jimmy Ward, have one of those guys keep an eye on Josh Allen, and don't let him beat you with his legs.
Exactly. I'm going to say the same thing before you give your score, in that the other thing I would like to see, obviously we got to contain Allen,
right,
and get him on his heels and make his jersey dirty. But
how are we going to beat them offensively? What do we need to do on the offensive side?
Okay, hopefully we'll get Ayuk back. And if we have Ayuk back, we need to use him with Debo and Mostert's going to open up this, because I think we give it to Mostert 20 plus times and he has over 100 yards. But then with that, opening up our pass and make them not know who you're going to go to, hopefully Mullins can continue to get better and go through progressions and kind of create the defensive, confuse the Buffalo defense.
Right.
Instead of always Debo.
Maybe you can answer this, but how many times have we even had Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel on the same field? I can't even answer that question. It doesn't seem like they've even played together this year, right?
I know, man. Maybe like in the very beginning, but man.
So he may have played 2 or 3 games with Ayuk, but it just seems like Ayuk's a different player now. And the only reason he was on the field is because of the damn COVID list. So I can't wait to get those guys back on the same field. Eventually we're going to get Kittle and have all our big weapons. I mean, Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo on the same field. I don't think that's happened this year so far. So
good night, nurse. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So many options, right? It doesn't matter who the quarterback is, and then factor in Mostert. He just looks night and day better than all the other running backs. He just has a speed to him that is unmatched by any of the other players. Although I did like Jeff Wilson's play in this last game. He is nowhere near as fast as Mostert is, and I don't think anybody but him and maybe Matt Breida could have got the edge on that first touchdown run. What do you think?
Very true. Very true. So that said, what do you see the final score as, Lucas?
Ooh, so this is a tough one because I think the Bills are really good. I put them definitely in the top 3 in the AFC East right now. And they have a really good defense, explosive offense. But I think Robert Saleh is going to dial up another gem against Josh Allen. I think he's going to get some heat on him, and we're going to cause some turnovers, and we're going to bring out bad Josh, so to speak. I think the Niners are going to keep the game relatively low, 20 to 14 49ers.
Nice. That's awesome. I hope that.
We'll see how it goes, but that's my prediction. And this time, Robbie Gould will not win it in the last second. Hopefully we'll have a lead in the fourth and just cling on to it.
All right, man. I'm going to go with another pick six. This time, I'm thinking Warner, and I'm thinking Niners 28, Buffalo 21.
Sounds good, brother. I like it.
Nice. Well, dude, have a great rest of your week, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon. And go Niners, man.
Absolutely. Go Niners.